So what was the last concept that we have discussed? Constructor based dependency injection. Can someone summarize so far, right? Not only last discussion. So far what we have discussed from day one, or what we learned so far. Anybody? Okay. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. Container and okay. What is IOC? IOC container. Okay. Types of containers. Okay. Connecting them. Hmm. 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 Yeah. Dependency injection of constructor. Exactly. MVC. Very important. We connected with MVC and started discussions, right? And dependency injection of objects also we discussed with the interface and implementation. Very important concept, correct? Yeah. MVC with or dependency injection of beans with the interface and implementation model. This is where I give an example of phone GSM phone something, right? So dependency injection with setters and constructors and a dependency injection of all data types dependency injection like primitives, secondary types, which means objects, primitive, secondary, and arrays. What else? Collections, and that too in collections, interfaces with the default collections we saw, right? What are the default collections been created? Yes, array list for set, linked hash set, correct. For map, linked hash map. And when we want to customize, we saw it with custom collections. How we injected in XML, we added one util namespace, correct? Util namespace. Using that util namespace, we mentioned the required classes: util namespace list, util namespace set, and we mentioned class type. required collection class, right? List type, I think, or class type. Okay, whatever it is, attribute. There we used to mention the required tag. So far, yeah, from all these concepts, what you are capable of, okay? So if you try to analyze yourself, what you are capable of, okay? As of now, you don't know, much about other modules, but you are capable of, right, creating any class. You are capable of creating any class, and you know how to just forget about whether it is controller, service, or DM, but you can write them now. You can write them. So easily you can able to write any class. You know how to create these classes, each layer by layer. How to write these classes, you know. Simple poso class, as I said, right, from the first discussion. Poso class. Simple poso class, enough. Simple poso class is enough for your controller, service, or DOs. So as of now, we learned how to create these poso classes by configuring from XML file. So you will take one XML file after writing these classes. You will be writing class A, B, C. Then you will configure that classes here. If this classes needs any dependencies, you know how to pass them. You can put any dependency in your classes and you can inject them as well. Okay. So from here you can configure your controller and you can inject the dependencies into it. Inject the dependencies into it. Service and service required dependencies. DAO required dependencies you can inject. So you are capable of creating any class object and you can do any type of dependency injection. Okay. Now we will go little bit advanced on it. Okay. We will go little bit advanced on the same concepts. Okay. Now while we are talking about dependency injection, we thought about field level dependency injection also. We can inject into fields as well. We can inject into fields. How we can do that fields dependency injection, we will see. For doing field level dependency injection, we have auto wiring concept. In XML also we have auto wiring concept. Okay, I don't want to go into it because for now current generation applications nowhere you are seeing XML based configurations. Okay, so let me jump into directly at the rate auto wired. Auto wired. So what this auto wired is all for and how it helps and for which all properties I can use auto wired. If I want field level dependency injection, how we can do here. So AutoWire is applicable for not all data types. AutoWire is applicable only for secondary data types. Secondary data types. If your class contains any secondary data type in code, you can AutoWire that secondary data type dependency. This is not for primitives, which means in general while writing classes, right? Controllers, service, DAOs, you will be having primitives dependencies like driver name, URL, username, password. So what you can do is instead of passing this driver name, URL, password also, by calling setter methods or constructors from your XML file, right? Usually how we did injected them, we have taken an XML file, and an XML file either by using a property tag or by using a constructor argument tag. We injected them via property or constructor argument tag. We injected the parameters. Instead, we doing with the property tag or constructor argument tag. You can use simple @value annotation also. Instead of doing in these two ways, simply you can mention @value annotation, and you can mention the key here. You can mention your key here. Inside @value, you can mention $of key. So for each property, you can take one value annotation and you can mention key over there. For each property, you can take one value annotation. Via value annotation, you can inject your primitives here. From where I can configure these keys and how I can get that key assigned to this variable. You can have a properties file. You can have a properties file. Via properties file, you can load them. Application.properties. You can mention your properties key. Driver, the driver actual name, Oracle driver, URL, username, password. You can configure everything here into a properties file and load that properties via XML into IOC. In XML, we can configure properties here. So we have util tag, if you remember, right? Using util tag, util colon properties, you can load your properties file. Properties file location, you can pass here. Whichever properties file you have, application.properties. As soon as you load your properties using this tag, right? As soon as you load, these properties will be available to inject anywhere using value annotation. So first thing, you need to load properties from a properties file to XML file, and this properties, right, you can inject into your classes, whether it is DAO or service, anywhere. If you have primitives dependencies, you know, right, what all are primitives? Simple strings or numbers or boolean values, any primitive. So you can have any primitive, you can pass that primitive properties from here. You can pass your primitive properties from here via XML file to your class. So we got an alternate for primitives. Fine. And usually MVC classes, when front-end user hits from front-end UI, so the call should establish between UI to controller, controller to service, service to DAO. Apart from primitives, right, on daily basis, what we do more than these properties, we inject DAO classes into service, service classes into controllers. So here, these classes, mostly your service classes will have DAO dependencies, controllers will have service dependencies, and these dependencies are secondary types. These dependencies are secondary types. When you have secondary type dependencies in your class, you need not to inject them from XML file. Instead of doing it from XML file, you mention simple auto void on field level itself. You mention simple auto void on field level itself. So what it will do, as soon as you create a bean of DAO here, DAO bean, service bean, controller bean, automatically, right? IOC container will do what? When creating the service class object, IOC container will see, or when creating DAO class object, IOC container will see what all dependencies DAO required. When it see at the rate value annotation, it will identify that okay, this DAO class needs some value here. I need to identify that value from IOC container. So this at the rate value key from where it will search as soon as you load this XML into IOC, right? As soon as you load this XML into IOC container, IOC will keep your properties into its global context. As soon as you load this, right? As soon as you load it, it will read your properties file and it will keep it into IOC context. Along with IOC, it will keep all your properties, driver URL, username, password. It will keep it into IOC object itself. So if you, after creation of this DAO class object or while creation of DAO class object, IOC container will see, okay, driver asking for some value at the rate value and given a key. Let me verify, do I have that key or not? IOC will verify. IOC will verify whether this key value is available or not. Already this properties has been loaded into IOC. First this properties need to be loaded. So as these properties are loaded, the key will be available. So automatically that key will be assigned to driver and it will check for the next key whether this key is available or not. URL key is available. Let's load it. Username, load it. Password, load it. So all these keys are available with IOC. Automatically it will load them and it will create DAO object. Okay. So this class is done. IOC created this class with the dependency injections. Done. Next job, go to service. IOC will go and create service class object, and after object creation if it find any at the rate auto-wired annotation here on top of any property, IOC will understand, okay, this DO object dependency injection I need to perform. IOC will understand that I need to perform DO object dependency injection here. Then it will try to verify for that dependency object here available or not. Okay, it will identify DO object is available. Immediately it will do what? It will inject the DAO into service. Into the service class, it will inject your DAO. Why it is injected? Because you mentioned it with at the rate auto wired. You said please inject that automatically. When you mention auto wired, right, it will understand that it need to inject it automatically. So automatically your DAO object will be injected into service. Okay, this class task also done. Next, it will go to controller class, and in controller class, you have service class dependency with AutoWire. Then same story. It will check for that service class object. If available, automatically IOC container will inject here. Automatically your IOC container will inject here that bean. So finally, all your classes are ready for user request. So as soon as user requested, so your methods will make calls from one class to another class and they will perform their tasks. Okay. So instead of using setter methods or constructors directly by using this annotation, it will inject it. You need not to have any setter or constructor in your class. You can maintain clean code. You will not have, lot of constructors or setters here, or else you need not to use that at the rate all argument constructor or at the rate setters. Not required. As soon as you upgraded your application to auto wired, right, you need not to mention any setters or constructors. Simply you can put at the rate auto wired or at the rate value on top of your bean property. That will take care of dependency injections. Okay, let me show you it. And this at the rate auto wired, right, by default By default, the type is by type. By type dependency, it will do. I'll explain you what is by type. Let me create one example. Auto wide. You see the beauty of it. Let me add dependencies. So XML based auto wiring example also available in blog. Please go through them, okay? XML based auto wiring. Those are very old concepts, okay? Nowadays we are not using XMLs anymore. I'll be creating here beans, having a simple phone class, okay? Simple phone class, private string phone name. I have one property, and if I need this property from properties file, use value annotation, and whatever key you want to use to pass this, right, you can put that key here with the dollar expression. Phone name, something, consider this is my key in properties file, phone underscore name. And this phone needs a sim secondary type dependency also, so I have one sim dependency. So I want to pass the sim provider name also here from properties file. So first let's see how I can pass these two properties. Okay, I don't have any setters or constructors here. Let me use simple toString method. Or override a toString method just to print and see what phone name injected or what a sim injected. Okay, first simple properties I will inject. Take an XML file, okay, and create one properties file also here. Inside resources, I'll be creating one file. In Spring Boot, right, in advanced concepts, we avoid XML file. Completely we use properties file, but time being, let's use properties. Time being, let's use XML here, okay? Until MVC examples, I'll show you XML. Once we shift to Spring Boot, we will use complete properties. Okay, now this properties I will use only for passing my SIM provider name and phone name. So you can configure them here. SIM provider name, Zio, Zio network, and phone provider name or phone name, iPhone 15. Now load this properties file first. How do I load properties file? Via your XML file you can able to load it. How I can load? So we have two approaches. The simple way is using this util namespace you can load util colon properties. So you can give your properties file name, location. So it is part of resources. So give resources slash application dot properties. That's it. This is simplest way. You can load properties. Where it will load as soon as you use it, right? Properties will load into IOC context. Context is nothing but memory. Into IOC memory, it will load. Into IOC memory, all your properties will be loaded. It will remember now onwards SIM provider value and phone name. Both it will keep remember. If you want to inject them somewhere into SIM or phone, as you are using directly value annotation, automatically it will inject them. So just to create SIM object here, bean class beans dot sim and bean class beans dot phone. So I'm just creating my beans here. Is it wrong? It is not. Acha. Okay. So SIM and phone both available. Properties also available. Now load this into IOC container. Just load and get both of your objects and see. Application dot get bean. You give class here phone and get SIM as well. Not just to print both the object. Okay. What you are saying? Configuration problem. ID is required for element. Top level tag. What do you mean? What is that? Name property. Yes, of course. Beans to correct only, no? Is it wrong? ID not mandate. Directly I'm using class name, no? That's the reason. Okay. So what it is saying is mention ID. Okay, let me put some ID. DB or app configs. Phone name null and this is also null. Application configs dot provider. Let me see. Something is not correct. So this loaded property is not being available. Let's see why so properties are not available. Get definition names, beans, display names, get message. Usually properties has been loaded and should be utilized. Application context object not able to load them. Properties location given. Okay, let me try with another way. So there is a class called property placeholder configure. Okay, so using this class also we can load. So this is the bean class, a predefined bean. You need to configure this bean class into XML, and using property placeholder configurer dot, you need to set properties file name here. Placeholder properties, set properties, you need to pass properties here. Set properties, we can set properties or set location. Set location of your properties file. Let me use this bean rather than the tag. If this one also doesn't work, nothing to do. Okay, just to set location. Property location value. Okay, same properties file location. Let me give here. That's it. Okay, try it. Oh my god, they are not getting passed. From context, it should be available. Properties has been loaded. Property placeholder configurer, is it loaded or not? Okay, it is saying need not to mention that complete path. Why value is not loaded? Let me run it in debug mode and see. Okay, when there is a problem, need not to worry. Just use debug mode and see what it says. Let's load, then check this application context object. Application context is created. Does it loaded any properties? Application listener, no properties. Bean factory post processor. Oh, lot of built-in objects creating. Config locations. Message resources. Nothing. It should have loaded. Let me. Let's see our blog. Do we have this example there? Spring auto wiring using annotations. You may just see simple secondary type, not for the primitive. Extract. No at the rate value, right? At the rate value example not given here. Did I missed anything? Yeah. Um, of course, but value annotation, I see it is available here. Spring tree. Let me Google it, right? Let me find some help from Stack Overflow. Spring tree value annotation not loading properties. Key dot value find context colon base package blah 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 class path property placeholder configurer only used. Okay, location value path given. Any other way? So wherever you see this green tick, right, you can refer that. Okay, they verify and says that that is the most feasible solution. Okay, but for me, I don't see anything issue with our. Correct. Maybe is that the class path colon, and did they mention any bean ID app config properties? Actually, not mandatory. I8 properties ID is mandatory. Okay, that is fine. So given property location and passing the properties. Let's run and see. Finish it null and null. Let's rerun again. IOC object getting created. Okay. Now IOC object got created. Go next. Next. SIM provider name still I see none. Still something we are missing. Up, 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 up. In my case, I'm not missing curly braces. Mine is fine, right? I'm not using Spring Boot, man. Simple Spring only. Check it. Check. Properties, placeholder configure. properties source files folder configurer. No such class. Today we don't have luck. It is not loading. Application properties. File name also correct. Properties. Configuration sticky. It looks good. Do I need to activate value annotation post processor? There is no such post processor also. Value annotation. Just a minute, guys. Just a minute, guys. Can someone find the solution for it? I will leave it for today. Guys, are you all there? Yeah, try this, okay? Yeah, please, guys, try this one. Uh, it's okay. Let it not work. Okay, try it. So, always doing a right way may not, you know, uh, things so easily we forget. Just try it. Something is missing here. Yeah. Hmm? See it, okay, why it is not working. In advanced, I know if I can put advanced annotations here it may go work, but as it is with the solution also it should work, because these properties need to be loaded at any cost. Properties should be loaded, no excuse, these properties should be loaded and it should available here. Something is missing, okay, find it what it is. Okay, no hurry worry, we can say it tomorrow. Why again? Guys, keep things with you, okay? Create one notepad and store everything there. Uh, you shared? Okay, great. Yeah. So already it is shared in the chat. Maybe you guys can check. And yes, which one it is? Okay, let me see. Okay, I'll upload it. Okay, dependency injection constructor, right? Okay. Okay. Acha. Can you can you share it? Acha. Okay. Maybe we will connect and see tomorrow. Okay. Okay. So yeah, feel it's good. In constructor dependency injection, what is that? Okay. Acha, this XML file which is having this. Maybe check whether again you put bean tag here. Bean stack multiple times. Bean stack must have configured. Is that the case? So here you need to remove the beans tag because the root tag already started here. It is ending here at the bottom. Between you will have all the beans. Check properly bean tag closed or not also. Okay. Yeah. You may verify it. Property. It the stop does. Okay. No problem. Let it. Tomorrow we'll see. I'll dig it out. Why it is not working. Okay, guys. Anything else? Can someone share recorded videos link as well? RPU September link. Yeah, please share this. Right. Okay. I'll upload these videos. Okay. Uh, Not videos. I mean example into Git. This one also I'll upload. Today's one also. You may try it. Yes. Acha, auto wiring in XML one. No, not required. But yeah, that is not required. But concept wise, by name, by type are important. I'll explain them. Okay, but not required. XML thing is very important. Without auto wiring, no beans are going to available for you. It is very important to connect your layers, right? Controller, service, DAO. Who do that? Auto wiring. I'll explain auto wiring. Very interesting concept. Okay, easy to understand that as well. So what examples? Constructors and data types, uh, collections, right? Collection. So you have two examples here. You can go through it. Come on. Yeah. Done. Any questions? Yeah. Correct. This is not, you know, in a simple words, if you want to remember, how many IOC containers we maintain for entire application? One, correct? So that one container will remember your properties. When I say context, it is a memory, kind of memory. Object holds this IOC object, right? Application context will hold your data. Who is remembering all your objects references when you call this class name? How IOC is giving your objects back to you? That is fine, but all that it is performing by IOC only. And when you ask, right, when you ask, hey IOC, I need a DO class object, how it is giving it to you? Basically, is object is available in IOC or JVM? But how it is giving when you mention the class? Correct. That is what context is. IOC context. It will keep remember them. All your classes, IDs. By default, it will generate a ID for each class. And when I load some kind of properties like this, right? All your XML bean configurations, it will remember them into its context. All its IDs and classes. So the same thing when I perform at the rate value annotation here, when I perform at the rate value annotation here, same thing it is doing. It will keep remember your key. Phone underscore name has been loaded here. It is loaded, right? It is loaded here. So it will remember your properties into context level, which means anywhere you can use them. It's a memory, global memory, one memory only, right? It will keep all your references into its memory. You can use them anywhere. That is what context. What is mean by servlet context? You know, right? If you know servlets, it will remember everything into servlet context. If you put something, you can use anywhere. Throughout application, there will be only one servlet context object, something like your IOC object. For entire application, one servlet context, which means for all servlets, it is the context. It is the memory. Okay. Yeah. Just keep it as a simple context. Context is nothing but a memory for it. Okay. Chalo, we'll see tomorrow. Uh, you know, I'll find it out. Maybe something I'm missing. I usually try this value annotation with stereotypes. I missed that stereotype. Still, it should work. My gut feeling is it should work. I need not use stereotypes also. Okay, I'll sort it out. Something we are missing. Otherwise, why it is not working? It should work. Okay, we'll see that tomorrow. Okay, check keys are matching. Yeah, I did copy paste only. Nothing. I see provider. If that is the case, it will be a blunder mistake. Hmm, correct. correct properties only. Mm, mm. If it is via stereotype, it should work, but I don't want to use. Acha, guys, are you all there? I think few of you dropped. Yeah. Okay. Now let's put question like this. How to activate at the rate value annotation? Not in Spring Boot, in Spring. Oh, oh. They are giving Spring Boot. Spring 3 right. Okay. Let me put this, okay? Context namespace. Okay. Context namespace, as he mentioned, right? Annotation config. I think that will work. Along with this util namespace, context namespace need to be added. Okay. Let me add that. Context annotation. Not annotation. It's a XML namespace. Let me add that. Like your util namespace. Context namespace I require. Context. Just a minute, guys. I can. Where is it? Hmm. What I am thinking is I must activate the annotation also. In advanced concepts, actually, it will never ask because there automatically Spring Boot will activate them. But in Spring, right, whenever you use a annotation, you should mention that annotation I am activating. You should mention by saying that I'm activating annotation config. We should mention. Okay. Let me copy this namespace. I need this namespace here along with utils, right? Get the context namespace also. Let me put that as well here. Just use paste it. Now what you can do, everything looks good. Just context colon annotation config. And using context colon property placeholder, you can load it. Location, same thing, property placeholder. Earlier we tried with util. Keep it here. Let's take it out. That is a confusion. We used with a different tag. Now run it. Oh god. See, it is getting loaded. This one will activate all the annotations. Let me comment it as it is not auto wide, as it is a simple thing. Let me comment it. I'm using a different tag. See the difference between these two. Using util also, I try to loading it. Util colon properties and the location. So I tried with this one. When I use this one, okay, it is a blunder. What I did is, it is allowing, but why it is not loading into context, I don't know. It is not suitable to load properties into context. To load them into context, context namespace, separate namespace given. Property placeholder, location you need to mention. Same like util namespace. And as I'm using annotations, right, you need to activate them. So as soon as you mention it, it will activate your annotations. There are so many annotations, okay? At the rate value, they did not mention it, but see, it is saying annotation config is saying that activates various annotations to be detected in bean classes. It is saying in your bean class, I will activate some annotations. When I find annotations in your class, I will activate them. So it will find value annotation, it will activate them. And override annotation is default JDK annotation. Nothing to worry about it. So just at the rate value, as soon as it's seen in your class, it will activate it, and whatever property it requires, it will inject from your context. So I'm activating annotation here and loading properties into context. Both we missed. Annotation did not activate it. Properties also not properly loaded into context. Who is this fellow? Yeah. Yes, yes. Correct. Same context. Into IOC context it will load. When I mention context means IOC context. It is saying activate all my IOC annotations, context annotations. Whichever annotations my context wants, activate them. Okay. And context means your application context. It doesn't mean something different. This context definition is internally IOC, which is equivalent to your application context. Okay. What I'm doing, I'm trying to loading them into application context. Okay. So I'm trying to activating application context. Your context is nothing but application context. Same thing. You are trying to loading properties into application context. I'm just loading these properties into this application context. Okay. Yeah. So that's what we did. So this is how we need to load and use. Okay. Some people dropped, right? I'll iterate it again tomorrow and I'll proceed ahead with auto very, very, very interesting concept. Okay. So let's catch it. And one more thing about tomorrow's session. Okay. Uh, I will see and update it. Tomorrow I have puja at home. If if time permits, I will join the session. Else, we'll catch up on Monday. Okay? Yeah, that I will update in the group. If puja is early in the evening, I'll take the session. If they start in the morning, okay, no session. Mostly, I think it is in the evening. Anything, right? I'll update. Yeah. Okay. Let's do mistakes and learn from it. We will remember it for a long time. Yeah. That's it, guys.